Maori biker gang perform an emotional haka surrounded by mourners in powerful tribute to Christchurch massacre victims, as dozens of graves are prepared by families demanding they be allowed to bury their loved ones. One of New Zealand's largest Maori gangs has performed an emotional haka in a powerful tribute to the Christchurch massacre victims, as dozens of graves are prepared by families demanding they be allowed to bury their loved ones. The poignant moment on Sunday saw around 10 members of Black Power, which was first formed in 1970. Gather near to the police cordon at Noor Mosque in Christchurch to perform the ceremonial dance. The group were surrounded by mourners who had gathered at a flower vigil to pay their respects to the victims of Friday's terror attack. It comes as counter-terrorism police have raided 2 homes as part of investigations into the Christchurch terrorist attack. The homes were in New South Wales, NSW, where the accused gunman, Brenton Tarrant, grew up, though he has spent most of the last decade overseas. The Australian Federal Police and NSW Police said in a joint statement, the primary aim of the activity is to formally obtain material that may assist New Zealand police in their ongoing investigation. A gang spokesman, who did not want to be named, said that no words could explain how hurt people were feeling. Even though people call us a gang and whatnot, we live in this community together and it has just brought everyone together. It doesn't matter what you wear or what color your skin is, or what you stand for, your religion, it's just brought everyone together like the earthquakes, he told the Daily Telegraph. The unidentified spokesman also said that the type of extremism exhibited in the recent attack have been around for decades and people need to be wary. That white power extremism has been here for years, it's been here for decades, every respect for a person who shows who they are but others hide behind something. Those are the people you have to be aware about and careful about because they do not express how they feel, they just blow up and something like this is the result, he said. Meanwhile, dozens of graves were being dug in a Christchurch cemetery as families clamored for the return of their dead. Mourners said they hoped to let grieving relatives fulfill Islamic burial customs soon, but insisted they had to move carefully through their investigation into the horrific terror attack. Another member of the gang, Shane Turner, said the Black Power group members were suffering alongside everyone else. It is sad today and going to be sad tomorrow, and this is about the only time we can all be together collectively, he said. He added the haka was a showing of honor and respect to those that had been suffering, and to give them strength. The tribute comes shortly after members of another renowned gang, the Mongrel Mob, were captured consoling each other after the Christchurch terror attack as Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern met families of the victims. Ms. Ardern wore a black headscarf to pay her respect. She told reporters on Saturday afternoon that authorities were focusing on returning victims to their families so they could properly mourn. The Prime Minister spoke with families at Hagley Park who were desperately trying to locate their missing relatives. Hagley Park, very much the focus on them was being able to access their loved ones, she said. Front of mind for them, of course, is fulfilling their religious expectations, and that is burial. Ms Arden had also spoken with Muslim leaders at the refugee center. The meeting at the refugee center, the community leaders shared the same sentiment that has come through from New Zealanders generally that, she said, this is not the New Zealand they know. This is not the New Zealand that has welcomed them, and that it is not a reflection of the New Zealand they know, and that sentiment came through very strongly. Ms Arden spoke to a number of survivors who shared their experiences, including one man who said a bullet scrapped him. A father who thought New Zealand was a safe place to raise a family and a tourist visiting his son. Fresh details about the 50 innocent victims of the Christchurch Mosque massacre emerge. By Lauren Ferry and Alex Chapman. Nearly 3 days since the horrific terror attack in Christchurch which left 50 worshippers dead, new details about the innocent victims are emerging. On Friday, 28-year-old Brenton Tarrant allegedly went on a shooting rampage at 2 mosques and gunned down dozens of innocent people including children, a student pilot, a design engineer and a healthcare worker. As of Monday morning, only one person remained missing and the remaining 49 victims had been identified. They include Junaid Ismail, 36, who left behind a wife, 3 young children and a mother who relied on him to care for her. Another, Ansi Ali Baba, 25, was eagerly awaiting her graduation ceremony from her master's degree in May, while Hussein Al-Amari, 36, was a regular at the Masjid al-Noor Mosque. Also among the dead is Tariq Omar, 24, who is remembered for his kind and humble nature and was a former student of Kashmir High School in Christchurch. Kamal Darwish, 38, who moved to Christchurch from Jordan 6 months ago and was awaiting the arrival of his wife and 3 children, was convinced to go to New Zealand by his brother, who had lived there since 2007 and said it was a safe place to raise a family. 60-year-old Abdel Fattah Qasim, from Palestine, was also killed on Friday at the Masjid al-Noor Mosque. He was the Muslim Association of Canterbury's former secretary. Another among the dead is Musaf Ali Sulman Patel, 60, who was visiting Christchurch to see his son and was a highly respected leader of the Fiji Muslim League. He left behind his wife Sarah Bibi Patel, 3 daughters and 2 sons. Ramaz Arif Bhai Vora, 28, and his father Arif Bhai Mohamed Ali Vora, 58, were both shot dead on Friday. The 28-year-old lived and worked in Christchurch and had a baby daughter a week before he was killed in the vicious attack. His father was visiting him from India at the time. Ozer Kadir, 24, was a student pilot at the International Aviation Academy of New Zealand and had been in Christchurch for just a year when he was killed on Friday. Another among the victims is Mahbubullah Akakak, 65, who was due to return to India on Sunday after visiting his son in Christchurch. 4-year-old Abdullahi Deri was also named among the dead after both he and his father Aiden were shot at one of the mosques, while 4 of his siblings escaped unharmed. Abdullah's family fled Somalia in the 1990s and made New Zealand their home. He was the youngest in his family. Before he was brutally killed, Amjad Hamid, 57, was a senior medical officer and rural hospital consultant at Hora Hospital who has been remembered for his kindness, compassion and sense of humor. Another among the victims is Mourners Solomon, 68, from Egypt, who was a design engineer working at Scott's Engineering in Christchurch since 1997. Zian Raza, 38, is also among those killed and was a mechanical engineer who moved to New Zealand from Pakistan in 2018. Both he and his parents Ghulam Hussain and Karam Bibi were killed at the Linwood Mosque. Another believed to be among the dead is Bangladeshi Hasna Parveen, who was reportedly gunned down as she tried to save her wheelchair-bound quadriplegic husband from the shooter. 3-year-old Makad Ibrahim died in the arms of his father and brother, who only survived because he played dead. Makad Ibrahim was attending Friday prayers with his father and older brother Abdi Ibrahim when a gunman stormed the Noor Mosque in Christchurch and opened fire on the worshippers. It's believed that at the time of the horrific attack, Makad ran from the gunman while his father and brother played dead. Victims of the New Zealand mosque massacres. As of 2 a.m. at Monday, Khalid Mustafa, 45, and son Hamza, 16. Naeem Rashid and his son Talha, 21. Said Reeb Ahmed, 26. Muhammad Omar Farouk, 36. Osama Adnan Albuquerque, 37. Dr. Harun Mahmood, 40. Hasnera Parveen, 42. Syed Jahandad Ali, 43. Muhammad Imran Khan, 47. Lilak Abdul Hamid, 58. Arif Bhai Mohamed Livora, 58. Ghulam Hussain, in his 60s. Karam Bibi, in her 60s. Yusuf Ali Sulman Patel, 60. Muhammad Abusi Samad, 66. Ahmad Gamaluddin Abdel Ghani, 68. United in grief, emotional scenes as New Zealand Prime Minister hugs mourners at mosque after white supremacist massacred 50 Muslims, while the gunman's grandmother tells of her shock at killing spree. There are emotional scenes outside a New Zealand mosque today as the country's Prime Minister embraced crowds, just days after a shooter massacred dozens of worshippers at Friday prayer. Jacinda Ardern, 38, visited the Kilburnie Mosque to comfort those affected by the tragic shooting which saw 50 worshippers including children, a renowned heart surgeon and a talented sportsman shot dead as they prayed. White supremacist Brenton Tarrant, 28, live-streamed the sickening attack on Facebook in which he allegedly killed dozens of Muslims during Friday prayers using 4 guns at 2 mosques in Christchurch. He subsequently appeared smirking in court charged with murder on Saturday morning, after allegedly opening fire inside the Noor Mosque before driving to the Linwood Mosque across town and continuing his rampage. It has now emerged that his extremist views may have been fueled by a trip to Britain, which he made during a 2-month tour of Europe. With the Sunday Telegraph quoting a senior government source as saying he transited through Britain in 2017, staying for a few weeks. The newspaper claims that in the summer of 2017, Tarrant hired a car in eastern France where he visited war graves, before heading to the UK possibly by ferry. and now foreign agencies including MI5 are investigating Tarrant as CCTV emerged of him traveling in Turkey, with Ankara on Friday saying it was investigating Tarrant's multiple visits to Turkey, and who he might have met while he was there during an extended period of time in the country. The Bulgarian government has also said it was looking into Tarrant, who apparently visited the country late last year, as well as Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Tarrant is said to have set off on a journey around the world in 2011, following the death of his father Rodney, taking in Turkey in 2016, as well as the Balkans and Pakistan in late last year. Tarrant claimed in a so-called manifesto to have made money trading Bitcoin, enabling him to travel the world. He is said to have visited a wide range of countries including North Korea, Japan and India. United Kingdom yesterday, a man was arrested for posting support for the terror attack on social media, as police warn of more far-right extremists in the country. Manchester police arrested a 24-year-old man on suspicion of sending malicious communications, as the Sunday Times revealed a secret Cabinet Office assessment which said the far right could pose a greater threat than Islamist terrorism in some parts of Britain. The Prime Minister's appearance in Wellington comes as Tarrant's grandmother, Marie Fitzgerald, 81, joined Brenton Tarrant's grandfather Joyce in voicing her incredulity that her grandson was potentially capable of murder. Speaking for the first time on Sunday from her living room in New South Wales, Mrs. Fitzgerald said she was gobsmacked when she learned of the Christchurch attacks. "It's just so much for everyone to take in that somebody in our family would do anything like this," she told 9 News. Mrs. Fitzgerald described an adolescent Tarrant as a computer enthusiast who didn't pay much attention to girls growing up. She said he would focus on the ins and outs of a computer because talking to girls was too hard. Regardless, she said he was a normal, happy child growing up in Grafton. He said his father's death at the hands of cancer in 2010 took its toll and prompted 7 years of traveling through Europe and Asia. The media are saying he's planned it for a long time, so he's not of sound mind. "It's only since he traveled overseas, I think, that boy has changed." Mrs. Fitzgerald sat alongside Tarrant's uncle, who apologized to the families of the victims. "We are so sorry for the families over there, for the dead and the injured. We just want to go home and hide." Tarrant's grandmother from the other side of his family, Joyce, told Daily Mail Australia he was a good boy who most recently visited over Christmas. The news of the attacks devastated the Grafton community, particularly Brenton's mother Sharon. Was in class teaching a double period of English when her son allegedly went on his shooting rampage. After receiving calls from journalists on Friday afternoon, the McLean High School teacher had to be pulled out of class and told of her son's alleged act. It's believed Tarrant's sister Lauren has gone into police protection alongside Sharon after being interviewed by counter-terrorism police on Friday. Daily Mail Australia witnessed Sharon's pet dog left on the family's front porch near a pair of empty food bowls. The shooter's family approached police as soon as they recognized his face on TV coverage of the attacks, NSW officers said on Saturday. Joyce said Tarrant visited his family in Grafton, in northern NSW, twice a year. Joyce said the whole family was struggling with the news. "We're just doing the best we can," she said as the door of her weatherboard house under the huge bridge that links Grafton's north and south. Joyce said her grandson showed no signs of extremist ideology when she last spoke with him. Elsewhere in the riverbank town of about 22,000 people, locals were uneasy being at the center of international attention. Grafton is famous for its picturesque jacaranda trees, but now also for the evil that grew up there. This has put Grafton on the map, but not in a good way. "We had enough to worry about," one local said. "Shock, horror and shame that such evil is associated with not only our country but our hometown," another said. "I feel so terrible for the people and families affected by this evil act of terrorism."